Several research projects I undertook aggregating legacy data early in my career have really shaped the way I think about the importance of open access. One of those was developing an annotated bibliography of theses in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander studies at the University of Queensland. And what we found was that even though there were theses produced with incredibly important research as early as the late 1940s, sometimes there were no known extant copies of those theses available. That and similar experiences have really drummed into me the importance of having a strategic approach to designing research to be open access, to be available now and in the long term.
So since finishing my PhD, my postdoc projects have actually been centered around creating open access databases, which is really closely tied to making research accessible. So while creating these resources, it's really highlighted for me how much of that research actually isn't accessible to the point where that knowledge is functionally lost. So a really big part of research is building on work that's come before. And so really central to that is communication, and accessibility and findability is really critical for that. Support from my supervisors has been really important for me. So my supervisors were the ones that I turned to when I was first learning how to publish my research, like where and what journals I might publish in, discussing when it might be valuable to pay an article processing fee and whether there might be resources available for that, and options for green open access for my paywalled articles.
Well, I'm a few years older than Emma, and the term open access hadn't even been coined when I was an undergraduate student. My supervisors and their generation of scholars really emphasised publication in my discipline in high-profile paywall journals. But that has really changed over recent years, with much more recognition of the value and reach and the quality of open access outlets.
I think even little things can help, like reminders to put their recently accepted paper in somewhere like Research Online for their author accepted manuscript. Maybe letting them know when there might be resources available to pay an article processing fee and when it might be valuable to do that can also be helpful. But overall, I think demonstrating and supporting a mindset that open access is just a natural part of publishing and a natural part of research can help normalize that for the researchers that you supervise or support.
Look, I think here is where role modelling is really important. I think supervisors and senior academics need to be breaking the ground here and showing by practice that they value open access outlets. And I think that people undervalue the importance of that role modelling behaviour. And it is senior researchers that have the ability to target those journals who've already got established careers. And that's where we're really going to see a change in publication strategies more broadly. I think choosing a journal or a book publisher to publish research is really about the context, and every single piece of research output is a different context. My golden rule is thinking about who I want to read that piece of research, and that really guides where the venue should be.
I think the decision sometimes comes down to resources, particularly for the options that involve fees. But often it's also about trying to find the right fit for the work. So looking for the journal that has the audience that you want to reach.
Look, one of the immediate things I see from the majority of my work being open access is through the correspondence I receive from scholars and members of the community, the broader community, in particular international scholars, particularly from the global south, who don't otherwise have access to this work behind paywalled systems, have access to it and reach out for collaborations, for mentorship, and working together on different projects. Many Indigenous community members also are able to access work that otherwise wouldn't be available to them. And I think that's an extraordinary opportunity not only for our research work to be used in practice, but to establish new collaborations to have more innovative work into the future. Look, a lot of my research outputs these days are in large multi-authored publications. And what I find is a high variability in open access literacy amongst authors in those publications. And it really means that senior authors need to take leadership in leading discussions about open access in those groups. The other thing I can't emphasize enough is the importance of reading the fine print of publication agreements. And over my career, I've been caught out more than once with the very restrictive open access policies of some publishers. So really pays to read the fine print. Look, another challenge I'd like to see addressed is more support and resourcing of diamond open access journals and books where there are no fees to publish or access that material. And I think supporting those scholarly community-led publications is the way of the future.
My go-to resource is the library website and LibGuides, including the current list of journals that have read and publish agreements.
Well, we're very lucky at JCU to have fabulous resources, both on the JCU library website, but also in the research librarians and liaison librarians. So it's a one-stop shop. I can't recommend them more highly.